What's up, DC Nation? Welcome back to another video on Justice League Unlimited. And today I'm checking out Season 3, Episode 7, titled Patriot Act. Now guys, last episode, we saw Gorilla Grodd's ultimate plan unfold. And it was really ridiculous. He basically was trying to make everyone into a gorilla, but he was stopped. The Trinity showed up. We had Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. They stopped that plan, and they stopped the invasion into Gorilla City. We also had Deadman, who was a prominent figure. And yeah, guys, Boston Brand, he was awesome last episode, and I hope he returns eventually. Like, he'll obviously not be in this episode, but maybe like later in the season. But yeah, the last episode ended with a change in power. We had Gorilla Grodd be defeated by Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor, he's the new leader of the Legion of Doom, and I thought that was really cool. It's a change in pace, a big moment in this Justice League versus Legion of Doom story. We also got Sala, who's just a straight hoe. She's a two-timer. She switched up. She was by Gorilla Grodd's side, but now she's by Lex's side. Like, she switched up so quickly, she would go for any leader. Whoever is leading, she's by their side. That's how simple it is. But yeah, guys, I'm excited to see where the story's gonna go, and if this new episode that I'm about to check out will be a detour episode or a continuation of the Legion of Doom story. We'll see. But before we get to the episode, make sure you follow my socials, Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. They all have the same username, lowercase DC_enthusiast1. Also, go check out my website, DCenthusiast.com, where you can watch all my full episode reactions, including the one for this episode. And yeah, guys, your latest reaction to Justice League Unlimited starts now. Okay. Also, making me think of like Indiana Jones. Yeah, that shot right there, definitely giving me Indiana Jones vibes. 1944 Project, Captain Nazi. Oh, who was that again? Wait, hold up, go back. What's his name? General Eiling, right? Alright, so General Eiling was looking into that case. So is he going to try and make a super soldier of his own? Because it seems like that's what Fritz, that one scientist, was trying to do, but Spy Smasher, or basically Indiana Jones, but in the DC universe, showed up and stopped it. By the way, my favorite Indiana Jones movie is The Last Crusade. I know a lot of people say Raiders, which I love Raiders, but Last Crusade is my favorite.
That Metro Tower, when one side loses ground and the other side gains, that isn't a truce, it's a surrender.
And I want to comment on that a little bit before we get to the next scene. So, how basically Amanda Waller and General Eiling are comparing the whole Cadmus arc with the Justice League with the Soviet Union. You know how America went against the Russians in the Cold War. And basically that whole Cadmus arc was the Justice League versus Cadmus, but it was very similar to the Cold War. Especially that one episode of Flashpoint, there was a bunch of Cold War and nuclear arms race references. Like, it definitely felt like a DC Universe version of the Cold War. And that's what I loved about it. And General Eiling's idea of, okay, when one side gains and the other doesn't, that's not a truce, that's a surrender. That's one perspective to look at it, but also Amanda Waller sees it as, nah, I actually understand the Justice League, and we are watching the Watchmen. Because the whole point of the Cadmus arc, the theme was who watches the Watchmen? Who watches the Justice League? The Justice League are watching over the entire world, but who watches them? Who stops them if they go rogue? Who stops the Man of Steel, Superman, when he goes rogue? But the idea of, okay, not only do we have to have faith in the Watchmen, but maybe they could compromise a little bit. Instead of Justice League just being a watchtower above Earth, a satellite that seems like, okay, it makes them seem like gods that we cannot touch or that we cannot even talk to. Instead of that, the Justice League compromised at the end of the Cadmus arc, especially Superman. They decided to create a Metro Tower not a Hall of Justice. I thought it was gonna be Hall of Justice. It basically is, but maybe they say you have the Hall of Justice for the very end of the show, like a updated version of the Metro Tower, but they'll call it the Hall of Justice. But for now, they got the Metro Tower, where the Justice League go to, and they can interact with the military, they can be more grounded, they can interact with the people around the world that they're trying to protect, and they no longer just seem like gods among men. They're actually relatable. So, the whole Cadmus arc, the Project Cadmus actually did accomplish something. They brought the Justice League down from a godlike level to a more relatable level, while also not making them enemies and still keeping them as watchmen. So, we solved the problem, who watches the Watchmen, with a compromise on both sides. And that actually is a truce. It's not a surrender like General Eiling would say. I just want to talk about that real quick, because I thought that was very interesting, and in my opinion, the Cadmus arc is the best arc in the DC Universe, or the DCAU right now. It was just so good, and that theme of who watches the Watchmen is so compelling.
We get a mission. Dang if that ain't lucky.
I love this duo, Vigilante and the Shining Knight. They always give me Seven Soldiers of Victory vibes, and now that we got Stargirl, Stripesy, and Green Arrow, bro.
I see why they call him dirty.
Yeah, get him, Stargirl. Yeah, stand back. Oh, yee-hoo! So awesome, man. How he jumped out that motorcycle was just shooting. Who's the reinforcements?
The Crimson Avenger and my ex-sidekick.
Yo!
Partner, Speedy, we gotta do this now.
Oh, so I was wrong, Gatchi. I said the other two were Speedy and Wildcat, but Speedy and the Crimson Avenger. That's the Seven Soldiers of Victory. We have Green Arrow, Speedy, Crimson Avenger, Vigilante, Shining Knight, and Stargirl and Stripesy. That is awesome. The Seven Soldiers of Victory. They really did it. That just made this episode one of my favorites. And, dude, Speedy. Have we seen Speedy on this show? And how Speedy looks here, he looks like the Teen Titans version of him. You know, the OG Teen Titans animated series when Speedy was in there? Kinda like
Now I'm scared.
similar designs. Let's go, Crimson Avenger.
Our rival Americas.
Wow.
You don't know what the
He'll waste everyone just so America could be on top.
Knight defending the weak.
Why
Wow.
don't you give up?
Nah.
Why don't you?
Heroes don't give up. Come on, Shining Knights. Keep fighting.
Superman and your Justice League are a threat to a safe and stable world. I'll give you that. But in the long run, you'll see.
Actually, now that I think about the Seven Soldiers of Victory, all of them don't even have powers. Stripesy, yeah, none of them have powers. The most power they have is the staff. But it's not like Stargirl has the power. The power is in the staff, not her. Like, they connect, but it comes from the staff. So yeah, Eiling is the only one with powers. He's going against exactly what he was talking about, and now he realizes it now. But in the long run, you'll see I was right. Nah. And they all love Shining Knight. This was Shining Knight's episode.
I'm Vigilante.
And Vigilante. Yeah, I do like Vigilante more. Watch, I don't know. Who's better, Vigilante or Shining Knight? Comment down below. But yeah, guys, getting to the review part of this video, I first want to talk about General Eiling. Now, I found out that his character in the comics is the Shaggy Man, which is basically a doomsday level threat. He's this huge character that is similar to Marvel's The Hulk. I mentioned that a lot in my reaction. Like, he's basically the Incredible Hulk, how he looks. And yeah, in the comics, he started as the Shaggy Man who fought against the Justice League in like the 60s. Well, a transition between like the golden age and silver age of comics. He was in like that middle time. So yeah, he's a shaggy man, and then eventually he became just known as the General Wade Eiling, this big brute that fights against Superman. Now in this episode, his whole philosophy about, okay, Cadmus failed, but the Justice League still needs somebody to stop them. He still needs to prove that he could be someone to oppose them if they ever went rogue. And he's more focused on fighting Superman. It seems like, okay, he cares about the threat of the Justice League. Like, the Justice League are definitely a threat to him, but it's more Superman. Like, he brings up when talking to Amanda Waller that, hey, do you remember when Superman broke into Cadmus, our headquarters, which happened in Question Authority last season? And I noticed something. When General Wade Eiling is going throughout Metropolis just causing destruction, is very similar to how Doomsday causes destruction in the Death of Superman arc, and in the first action comic story in DC Rebirth, when Superman and Doomsday fight across Metropolis and all this destruction happens. So instead of Doomsday doing that in the DCAU, like we saw Doomsday last season in the Doomsday Sanction, he did fight Superman, but it was in a volcano, not Metropolis. So instead of Doomsday going through Metropolis, we got another brute, General Wade Eiling. And yeah, General Wade Eiling, he was a good villain. His mindset as the episode went on, I didn't really understand. Like, at the beginning, I was like, okay, I can understand his point of view, how he was acting last season, but in this episode, he went from kinda understandable to completely a villain. Like, he was just attacking heroes for no reason, and he talked about how they're metahumans, but all the heroes he fought against didn't have powers, so it contradicted the whole reason he was there, like the whole reason he was fighting. And he actually put so many Metropolis citizens and so many kids in trouble. He became the villain he so feared. And his conversation with Amanda Waller was so compelling, just to see the different perspectives. Like, Amanda Waller, she now understands the Justice League. She understands the idea of, okay, who watches the Watchmen? Well, the answer to that is a compromise. The Watchmen can be more down to earth, more relatable. And the military, the people who fear them, can have some faith in them and actually try to talk to them. Amanda Waller is actually trying to understand the Justice League and find some common ground, where General Eiling is not. Like, he saw the whole end of the Cadmus arc, that conclusion, not as a truce, but as a surrender, where Amanda Waller saw it as a truce, like actually a good thing. She's more positive, where Eiling is way more negative. And the fact that he got away at the end of the episode, where he was just jumping off of buildings, that was actually pretty cool. Him just jumping off of buildings and getting away, that makes me think that he will return. And I'm pretty sure we will get fights between the Man of Steel and him. Maybe General Wade Eiling will join the Legion of Doom. He did mention that Lex was the only reason Cadmus went down, and it seemed like Eiling doesn't really like Lex. So I'd be surprised if, say, Lex goes to General Wade Eiling. Say Lex sees the whole fight that happened in Metropolis in this episode on the news, and he's like, okay, I want this shaggy man, this general on the Legion of Doom, and he goes to Wade Eiling and is like, hey, would you like to join the Legion of Doom? I'd be surprised if General Wade Eiling actually accepts his offer. Because it seems like Eiling doesn't like Lex at all. He's mad that Lex made Cadmus to look in a bad light and caused the end of Cadmus. It was Lex's fault that Cadmus ended. Like, now Cadmus is separated, the headquarters, they're closing everything down, and yeah, Project Cadmus is over. And yeah, we'll see what happens. Will Eiling join the Legion of Doom? I'm gonna say yes, because there's no way he just got away and that's gonna be it. Like, if General Wade Eiling doesn't return, that would be really surprising. There has to be a reason he didn't get defeated in this episode and just got away. Now, moving on to my next topic, let's talk about how this episode centered around the 7 Soldiers of Victory. We had Stargirl and Stripesy, Stargirl taking the place of the Star-Spangled Kid, Starman. So yeah, Stargirl and Stripesy, Green Arrow and Speedy. Speedy was voiced by the same guy who voiced him on the Teen Titans show, and his character model was the same character model from the Teen Titans show as well. The only difference is this character model is a little older. Like, it seems like Speedy is a little older in this episode compared to his version of the character in the Teen Titans animated series, but I thought that was really cool. Like, guys, Speedy and the Crimson Adventures arrival in this episode was so dope. Like, shout out to the Crimson Adventure. But yeah, Green Arrow, Speedy, Stargirl, and Stripesy, Crimson Adventure. Mr. Terrific, he's not on the 7 Soldiers of Victory, but he did show up in this episode. And he's basically taking the place of Martian Manhunter, the one who watches the Watchtower. But my 2 favorite 7 Soldiers of Victory members are Vigilante and the Shining Knights. Let's talk about Vigilante first. Vigilante is so cool, man. How he was in this episode, how he was hyping up his fellow heroes, him having a great moment when he pushed his motorcycle into General Eiling and he jumped back, he was just shooting, and he just shouted, "Yee-hoo!" And I remember one of my favorite moments of Vigilante was in Hunter's Moon, an episode last season where he controls the ship and he says, "Yee-haw!" Like, he's just a classic cowboy. He has such a positive demeanor, and it's really cool to see him actually help out the kids and get the kids involved. It was like inspirational and dope. I just like Vigilante in this show. This is my favorite version of Vigilante by far. I like this version of his character way more than his comic counterpart. Like, Vigilante in the comics is cool. He's okay on Arrow. He's pretty cool on Peacemaker. But this Vigilante is just so dope. And another thing I want to mention about his character is his dynamic with not only the Shining Knights, but Green Arrow. Like, when Green Arrow, the Emerald Archer, and Vigilante are teaming up, like, Green Arrow is shooting arrows, and Vigilante is shooting bullets. It's just so dope. There's like one part in this episode where they're charging at General Eiling, and I just got so excited. Now, moving on to my final points in this video, the Shining Knights, okay? The Shining Knight, he was so cool in this episode. Like, I like his design, and his Pegasus, and his sword, and his King Arthur background. And in the beginning of the episode, he seemed like he was just gonna be on the side of the plot. Like, yeah, he was interacting with Vigilante, but Vigilante was more in the spotlight. But as the episode went on, the Shining Knight slowly went more in the spotlight, and his final fights against General Eiling was so cool. Him using his sword, him going fist to fist against a brute, a doomsday level threat when he's just a knight. Like, he was so brave, he was so heroic, and that part where all the Metropolis citizens and all the kids surrounded him, protected him, especially that old lady, it was so wholesome. So yeah, I really like the Shining Knight in this episode. This was his best moment in the entire show so far. Like, the Shining Knight has showed up on the show before, but I feel like this episode really did him justice. And yeah, guys, I enjoyed this episode. It was great. It didn't really continue the Legion of Doom story. It was more like a epilogue to the Cadmus arc, which I enjoy. I really like the Cadmus arc, so a continuation of that is always welcome. But yeah, I'm going to give this episode a 9 out of 10. I highly recommend it. You guys, some of your thoughts on this episode down below. What you think about, what you rate from 1 to 10. And yeah, if you guys like the video, give it a thumbs up to the channel. Make sure to subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on my next Justice League Unlimited reaction and review. And yeah, guys, thanks for watching and peace out.